behind.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my 59th episode of Beyond the Cover with me, Andreia, on the Catcher Radio. Yes, 59th episode. This one.
City girls just seem to find out early how to open.
Reviewed summers, and it's been really quite decided to see how many people out there just discover the artistic way of writing and how writing can be very typical or can also be just for fun. It was the last interview. And speaking of that, my observations for this week is actually exactly about that. Because I also received an email from the author that I interviewed last week, which you guys may have noticed. It was about an manager, owner of a pub, and she just realized it was not for her anymore. So she just decided to write a book about it, and about how pubs are very important for the British culture because it gives the sense of community, the sense of socialization, to socialize with others, and the importance we talked about as well, the importance of the pubs as well. She explained very, very well. And with that, I'm going to say at least 4 comments that people really left about the interview I left from. Let me see now here on our YouTube website from Dreamcatcher Radio. Let me see. Videos. Yes, her name is Julie Harris. So, yes. And now the 4 comments are those. So Stephanie from Walthamstow says, "What a fascinating author Julie was. Hope she does do her new book." Yes, she does. I think she has plans for a second book indeed. And she also would like to do some kind of also historical romance, a little bit of a, I think it was thriller she said as well. So I hope she really comes to do these books and write them. So I really hope she does. So Stephanie, yes. And also Andrew from Malta says, "I love hearing some of the stories from Julie. Great interview." Yes, Andrew, an interview with Julie was really interesting. She really talked about her experience, especially of an owner of the pub, and again how that inspired her to write a book, the stories that she not left, but the stories that she lived with other people, and also other people, left a memory on them, good or bad or not or whatever. So I think that could be a pretty good idea, to write a book as well. So if you have this stuff you would like to share with the world, please do that. And also, if you guys know, she also has some blogs as well with travel. So go there and check it out as well. But yeah, it was very lovely to interviewing him last week. Sam Kelly from Romsgrove says, "I managed to find Julie on TikTok. She's so descriptive and very funny. Thank you for this interview." Yes, I found it very funny as well. Really, really cool. She was really a very good interviewer to be in touch with. And also, she also really loved my interview as well. She at the end of the play of our pre-recorded interview, she will left them a very, very lovely email. Very lovely email. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. So, yes, it was a very lovely interview, Kelly. I'm with you here. So last, it is from Owen, from Littlehampton, and says, "Julie was an awesome guest. It proves that anyone can write a book." Awesome. It is true. Anyone can write a book. Literally anyone. I don't know, you are somebody that has, I don't know, I don't know, a group of people that plays, I don't know, D&D, for example, Dungeons and Dragons, write about it. Who knows? Doesn't need to be about Dungeons and Dragons itself, but can be about non-fiction book, about how your group and you play the games and how you find the community in that, for example. It can be. Who knows, you know? And I'm saying this because I was watching before I come to to my show about the Critical Role, the Mighty Nile. They're very very awesome actors playing here roles, and D&D is just very awesome. It's a very awesome game, and I really like also the creator behind it as well. He's really awesome. He really loves to answer your questions about the Forgotten Realms, and he's just really really awesome. I really love him. That's pretty cool. Yes, and about the interview with Julie last week, yes, it was really really great. The fact that she's the first it's not just her, but that it sent me an email to say, hey, I would like the interview. It was fantastic. You did a lot of research about that. I really like that. It is good that you know what you're talking about. I want to come back. She said she wanted to come back, and I asked her back. I said yes. When you have a second book, let's come back and interview it once again. So yeah, she was really awesome. But it's not just how really really like to interview. It was also the other before her, which is somebody that was an alcoholic, and it was really an addiction as well, etc. And also his story, it was really so moving as well, in the sense that, because keep in mind, somebody from addiction is pretty hard to come to. It's not impossible, but pretty hard. It takes time for somebody to be sober, to conquer all that temptation to come back and stay in that place, etc. And the guy didn't hide what would he have done. He didn't. So it was pretty straightforward. And the fact that he found the writing in a way for him to process stuff, but also to tell his story, which is like a memoir, I think that's amazing. Because at the same time, he's helping others to conquer the addiction, to say, hey, I come to this place, and you also can have the strength to do it as well. And this is what happened to me. And if you feel this is very similar to your story, this can help you to do it as well. Yes, it's not in itself, let's say, like a self-help, but in the same time, it's a self-help book as well. And I think these stories, right, so the work for addiction, this an ex-owner of a pub, etc., to tell the stories about it. These stories are so interesting in the non-fiction. And I think more stories like this to be out. And I think, honestly, nowadays in society, people are looking for this type of stories. Well, stories in a sense, lives. Let's put it that way, lives. Because it connects with others. And I think this comes because society still has that presumption that about people with addiction, about people alcoholic, etc., etc. So these also can help just to demystify and say, hey, these people are that, sure, but they also can, when they come over, when they found a solution to their problem, to be new again. And I think this is fantastic. Of course, another pub also in through a lot, and retail is a very, very complicated job to do. Not everybody can do it. I've been there, and it's really not easy, because again, you have to deal with unpleasant people, you have to deal with rude people, you have to deal with a lot of things ever happening behind closed doors as well. And it can be very pleasant. And if you feel it's not for you, don't do it. And with that, we're going just to make a pause. And let's listen our fourth Gothic band for this week. And I have to just try to do some research on this, mostly because the list I have with me in the computer is starting to go a little bit lower. So I have to do some research, and I'll see some come out while I was just trying to find some musics. So it came out just, spontaneously, and I was like, "Well, this is amazing. This is what I do." So my first gothic band for the day is called Diva Destruction, Enslaved. It is an American goth rock band, dark wave, post-punk, alternative band formed in 1998, and as the title suggests, is unsafe. Is about, we recognize we're being slave, and also recognize the toxicity about it. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. So let's now listen. Diva Destruction, Enslaved.
Enslaved by the feeling
Well, and what a great start. Diva Destruction, what a name for a band. Enslaved, this was our first gothic band this week. So now, I have to do a long recap because it's been some weeks that I have, well, as you can imagine, interview people. I was really getting into it to the rhyme, you know, the rhyme of the life, trying to interview the people. I was really enjoying, and but now I have to come back and really now just to continue with the show, so you guys to see as well, because you also are looking also to learn. But I'm really hoping that interviews also help you to see and learn something as well. So we started to see non-fiction, creative non-fiction. And we come from the National Center of Writing a Source, which is a website. It is called 17 Tips for Writing Creative Nonfiction. And they say the first tip is to know thyself. So know yourself. Are you a nonfiction writer? And they say not everyone is suited to the type of writing they might want to do. It's important to understand not only what interests us, but what we have an aptitude for it. It can be valuable to find where these two met. So, if you think that you can write nonfiction and also in a creative way, go for it. As they say here, it's up to you. You as a writer, you have to know the type that really interests you. For me, for example, I am more fantasy writer, specifically dark fantasy writer, because I think the dark fantasy allows me to write specific themes of humanity that can be explored. Some might be really dark, some might be just soft, but at the end of the day, it's fantasy. Is the ability for me to create stuff in a more fantastic world, which doesn't exist, so the others can immerse themselves. But doesn't mean that a non-fan fiction you can do that. You can definitely, of course, you have to be stick with the facts, surely. But in a creative non-fiction, you also can write in other ways as well. Doesn't need to go, with the format of the non-fiction. You can, yes, you're going to tell your story. It has to be in your voice. It has to be as we have seen it in weeks back. It has to be in your voice. It has to be you. It has to be authentic, and you have to do your research, even if it is about you. You should do some research, as you have listened from the last interview. Julie. She talked about her experience as an ex-owner of a pub, but she also travels everywhere to see other pubs and see what they are doing, and helps them as well. So this is a form of research as well. If you can travel like this, perfect. If you can, that's fine. But the research has to be there. So for this, as I say here again, you have to know yourself as a writer. What type of writer are you? Are you a non-fiction? Are you a fiction? But here we're going to focus on creative non-fiction, which is a very, very interesting combination here. So the second part is to be brave. Creative non-fiction, journal Interland co-editor Jan Phelim says, when we write from our memories and our life stories, there's a temptation to gloss over things and leave out the difficult parts. But to write a memoir or a personal essay, well, we need to interrogate the truth as we remember it, and write them honestly and that candor to achieve an authentic voice that allows readers to connect with our writing. And this, interesting enough, kind of reminds me my interview I have, if you guys really remembered as well. That's right, with the Lord Phipps Warren, the guy that wrote about addiction, alcoholism as well. He said it as well. It has to be with your voice. It has to be the facts. You cannot diverse yourself too much from fiction, otherwise it becomes fiction. So in a sense, it's exactly what it says here. Don't gloss over things up. Be authentic. Be vulnerable. Exactly, be brave is being vulnerable. And we saw this as well when we have learned about memoirs and biographies as well. Do not try to make things just I overcome this. No, tell your reader with honesty, I have this problem that at the time I didn't know how to process. I didn't know how to overcome. I didn't know how to see things. But now, with more knowledge and experience in life, I know what worked for me. It might work for you as well. And this is, if you think about it, is being super brave. I mean, you are putting yourself, your weaknesses to others people to read and see. It's a lot of guts you're taking it here, so it's not easy. The third element, again, is research and organize. Creative nonfiction is also referred as narrative nonfiction. Finding, directing, and building a narrative is essential. But it can be a challenge. Stories have a habit of growing arms and legs, often driven by interest in the subject, which can result in tangents, interlinking stories and ghost chases. So, again, do your research and organize your research. Is it going to be in chronological order? Is up to you. Again, read what the other authors are doing and see what they do and what does work. See how successful their works are, what people think about them. And then you can do that for your own book as well. Of course, I'll say this if you want to go to, for a traditional publisher as well. But also, I think if you want to go to self-publish, I think can also work. Because you see what's working, what people are after. And we also saw about the family histories and sources as well. So sources are very important for you to have your resources. For example, it can be an audiobook. I think Julie talked about it, if I'm not mistaken, in an interview. She said she has an audiobooks and on all these notes, and then she just took the idea and then published the book. So, as you can see, there you go. Another source that you can do, or can be just simple photography. A photo. It can be a simple, essay that you started back in the day that you want to come back, and because I think you think is important. So the source has to be there. And then we saw as well your primary and secondary research as well. To get help as well, because then it's very important to get the help in a sense of feedback, and then to write what to know. Different writers have different approaches. Some plan and write meticulously, turning into a perfect first draft. Others write and revise until the story and the words come together. Writing non-fiction, as opposed to fiction, may impact this. Will events being fixed, even if the book's narrative can change? So, I will say this again. You have to know what you know. That is true, because non-fiction has to be factful. You cannot, just come up with things. So, as Ethel says, write what you know. So what you know about the other thing you're writing in a book, write about it. But yes, I think here also says the example that if you can plan or not plan. So I say this is up to you as a writer. You have to know yourself. Again, know yourself. So you do this as you like. We also saw the take notes, which is very, very important. Get inspired by other authors, and I think that's really, very important as well. And while this was a very long thing to talk about, just a summary what I've learned at least in the past. I think was 3 weeks. I may be wrong on this. 3 weeks, I think. Yes. Let's make a pause now. And now let's listen our metal band, our first metal band from this week, and it's called Grimvale, As Fox Devours the Trail. So this is a Swedish atmospheric black folk metal form in 2026. They are very recent. The themes are focused on woods, nature, and night. So the first part of this search comes from a website called Black Metal. As Folk Devours the Trail fires in with the most traditionally black metal, Devours the Trail fires in with a black metal track on the album, a cold, furious sprint that calls to mind early dark throne in his eyes hardened. Directness without feeling derivative of it. After the album's more expansive middle section, this constitutes a burst of aggression, less like a closed fist, brief, purposeful, and uncompromising. So, let's listen. Let's listen now. Our first metal band, Grim Vile, as Fog Devours the Trail. And we've got it, Green Veil, as fog devours the trail. There you have it. It started a little bit very melodic, but then we start to see, probably these, probably I will say a little bit of metal influence as well, which is very interesting because I really like when the artists will experiment a lot with music. They stay with the genre, but they experiment a little bit. They just not just do your traditional. So I think music is just supposed to be music, and the genre is just to help people just identify what they will most after. So I will hope you guys have enjoyed Green Veil as Fog Devours the Trail. So now let's continue our non-fiction learning today. So the seventh step this website advises is to search for the truth. It is said that the police asked three people what happened at the scene at an accident. They will get the three versions of events. How can we ensure that we get the truth of our story? And then they give an example, one of the people they interviewed. Sonia Falaru's investigation into the death of two girls in India resulted in various ever-changing stories. Here she describes how the combination of social rules, mores, and pressure made the hunt for the truth even further. So as you can see, it is to search for the truth. Not the made up, not the what if, the truth. Remember, yes, it is creative the way you are doing, but it is most non-fiction that you're writing about. So everything as you're going to do, it has to be truth, has to be facts. And the eighth aspect they say is to whose story it is. The point of a narrative for creative non-fiction is that it is not just a reference book. The facts hang from someone's story, seen through other eyes. As such, knowing lots about the subject, person or time isn't enough. You need to bring this to life through one or more people's stories. Again, from the example of the authors they write in the website, the author, Ed Parnell, had been invited by HarperCollins to pitch an idea they've discussed, to write a non-fiction book about ghost story with an M.R. James. So there you have it. What this story is for? You decided for yourself as a writer. But the thing is, it not just says a reference book, it's about somebody's life. It has to be seen through their eyes. And you can write that. And you can do that in your creative non-fiction. Then, the ninth aspect they talk about is don't forget to read. There we go. As you can see, even if you want to write a creative non-fiction, you cannot escape. You have to read creative non-fiction authors. There you go. It's going to be happen again and again and again. Writer editor Andrew Canrick says, I'm always reading non-fiction even during the writing stage of a project. I tend to write biography rather than memoir. Sometimes it will be for direct research. Other times, I'll be looking for stylistic inspiration. And more often, it's entirely unrelated. But it's all fuel for the fire. And often the inspiration for a thorny problem can strive from the unlikeliest source. Internet editor Freya Dean says, I find I can read non-fiction during a period of intensive memoir writing. It's not that I'm afraid I will subconsciously copy from other writers, but just that my thought stream gets disrupted and I can't keep the flow of my own work. Instead, I read non-fiction, just reread Jennifer Ennis. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit sleepy today, so I really apologize. Yeah, instead I read non-fiction, non-fiction, young adult fiction, poetry, and those big coffee table art and fashion books when I can afford them. So, in these two examples, it's just to encourage you to read your genre, basically. The two examples, one likes to read while they are writing the book, and that just likes one they are not. And which one is the truth one? None of them. It's up to you. I personally like to read when I am not working. I find it very disruptive, personally. But for some people, if you're writing a book and you can read at the same time, fantastic. Authors, you can't do that. It's your life. It's you as a writer. You are the only one who tells to the others, this works for me, not for you. So keep that in mind. The 10th aspect is to go off track. José Saif says, tangents can be your friend. Sometimes when I'm writing, my mind will start drifting. I found that it can be productive to follow these tangents to determine if they are actually associations or resonances that deepen and need to be interwoven into the main story. So sometimes go off track. It's okay. It's okay to just sometimes to just not write off the topic. It might help. It says here in this the example I'll just give you. It might help. Now build a roadmap. As Parnell explains, with non-fiction you have to create this big pitch document for the publisher. I created a 50-page chapter by chapter document. So I have thought about the structure and had a roadmap. Again, this author might be the one that's considered an architect. They might actually, they may have... They might plan very meticulously. And yes, but building a roadmap is one thing more like to structure your story. And then when you say to a publisher, it has to be very well structured. It has to be, it has to make sense most, I'll say. Make it make sense. So then, when they revise and they read it, it is at least in their minds, it says, okay, this is simple, I can understand. And even if you're writing something that is a little bit on the creative side, on the poetry side, it has to make sense, but of course you can use abstract, etc. But this is another story for another time. But yes, make it like it's simple for them to read, but not too simple. Yeah, we can be very creative. We still have to be creative. So just keep that in mind. Structure. The 12th aspect is to structure. One size doesn't fit all. Writing non-fiction was a new process for me, explains Ed Parnell. So I researched other non-fiction books. I physically analyzed them. How long the chapters are. Is a 40-page chapter or too long? You look for patterns, but they are known because everyone does it differently. You are learning as you go. I suspect that every book a writer writes, you feel like you are starting over again. Yes, exactly. I can understand why he says this, because every writer has a different way they approach their writing, and every writer has their own way to write things. Yes, you can find, for example, YouTube videos or even information online saying, hey, this is supposed to be the X, pages, X 1,000 words. At the end of the day, you are the writer. I think if you keep the topics, as we discussed weeks ago, if you keep the topics right, if you keep the step-by-step right, I think as it was more important. This also depends the non-fiction type, etc. So you at least if you know the basics, then you can break the rules, so to speak. In this case, to break the rules. And the third adaptation is write the novelist toolkit. So Andrew Kenrick says, one of the things that often defines the best creative non-fiction that we receive at Hinterland is that it applies to the tools of a novel writer to read situations and settings. Flashbacks, starting in media, rest, dialogue, rich descriptions of character and plenty of texture in the writing, colors, sounds and smells. And with this, I am going to make a usual pause. And now we're going to listen to our second Gothic band of this week. I discovered this while I was searching for new bands. And this one is quite interesting. It's called Paralyzed Age, Bloodsucker. So, this is a German Gothic rock band formed in 1998. What I can say about this, the title is very explanatory, doesn't need much explanation, is about vampires, so to speak. So, let's listen. Paralyzed Age, Bloodsucker. This was Paralyzed Age, Bloodsucker. It was a very entertaining music. And yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. And probably you are dancing right now, who knows? So yeah, there was. So, I'll just go and keep introducing the second metal band, just to just give a little bit for me to also to see this next stuff for the show. And that is also is a very short music. It's just 2 minutes and almost 3. It's not really that long. So it's called Dietrich Mortal. So this is an American metal rock band formed in 2020. So this comes from the website. This description. Dietrich crafts his signature sound by mining elements from every corner of the heavy music spectrum and combining them with soaring, emotive vocals and modern electronic production. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Dietrich Mortal. And this was the Dietrich Mortal. What a very way to start a little bit with some rhyme and some. This was actually a woman screaming and growling, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it just is diversity of metal itself as well. And we also also uncovered here a group of women. I think they were. I think they were Lebanese, if I'm not mistaken. I think, yes, and they were. I think they were black metal as well. So it's pretty cool. It's really good to see diversity, in the metal genre. So now let's return to our show. So we started to see other aspects for the non-fiction, according to. Let me come here to my yes. According to the National Center for Writing, the 17 tips for writing creative non-fiction. We saw that the seventh aspect is to search for the truth. So this means, of course, that you cannot make up things up. You cannot, just creative things out of blue. You have to be truthful with the stuff that you are writing. And the eighth aspect is to whose the story is it. So if you want to write about somebody, it could be from their from their eyes, from their own eyes. And what I mean is try to send their own perspective. You have to put yourself in someone's eyes and try to write a story from their own perspective and see, and keeping us, of course, the truth of the story, what happened, etc., etc. And the ninth aspect is to do not forget to read, because yes, if you want your own work to shine and to be recognized, you also have to know what is working out there, what the other published authors are doing it right and it works, what aspects do they use in their writing, how is their structure, how they use the structure on their story as well, because there is structure, there is always structure, even if you do not plan, but always a structure. So yes, you can start to analyze this stuff in more detail and see what works and get inspiration for them, or try yourself out and see how it goes, because at the end of the day, it's your story. The 10th aspect that they talked about is to go off track. So it means you can just talking something else entirely. Yes, you cannot just, I imagine, again, I do not write creative nonfiction myself, but I imagine from what is said here, to go out of track. And sometimes, when you're writing, your mind starts to drift away. And that's okay. Because I believe we writers sometimes, we are so hard with ourselves that we forget we drift away. And drift away, I think, is our mind is saying, just give me a bit of rest. And right now, we may not stop right now, but just think about something else. It's okay. You are in a relaxing mood. You sometimes writers need to take a deep breath. Okay, so I am drift away a little bit right now, but it's fine. Maybe you can write that the drift away in your book and see how it goes. It might come with something interesting. So the 11th aspect is to build a roadmap. This is more about structure. It's more about if you want, for example, to send an example for an agent, publisher. Of course, you have this was actually publisher. They talked about it has to be, very structural, very very methodical, thoughtful as well. Send the best you can get, but it has to be logical, make sense. The 12th aspect is to structure. One size doesn't fit all. And it is more about analyzing physically what the authors are doing. Because some people write chapters a lot and some not that much. But I think what matters at the end of the day, it's the theme that stays the same. It may be because writers write a lot and other writers just like to just be on the point without wasting more time, Writing one way or the other, it's not an issue. It's just how you are as a writer. I like to expand a lot, but again, I write fantasy. I don't write creative nonfiction. But even if some of you that are listening to me do, just be you. Just be you. If you want to just write, do that. If you don't, all good as well. Doesn't matter. And also the 13th aspect, which is writing the novelist's kid. I think it's more just like to see in the novel what probably you can find in the creative nonfiction as well. And they say it is about the flashbacks, starting in media res, dialogue, rich descriptions of character, and plenty of texture in writing, like colors, sounds, and smells, etc. Because you can bring those as well to your creative nonfiction. Of course you can. Who said, and we saw this as well when we are discovering about travel, remember? One of the writers on their one blog, I think it was website, said, bring the descriptions. What a specific place reminds you of, what smells it brings, what are the textures, what can you sense about that place. That can be very powerful as well in the creative nonfiction. So do that. So you can see it's not just in the novels. You can bring that knowledge to your creative non-fiction or just non-fiction as well. And now let's go about the fourth aspect, and is facts versus fiction. And this is very, very important. So, Kate Summerscale explains how she balanced the marshaled the facts against the narrative she was creating in her book, The Haunting of the Alma Fielding, a true ghost story. I always keep the narrative in the foreground. It's almost the reverse of normal, where the important events take place in the reverse of in the foreground, and the trivia is at the edges. It's inverting that. So the story is an apparently silly story about a poltergeist and a woman in Croydon in the 1930s, and an eccentric ghost hunter. Instead, it becomes a thing I take very seriously. It's driving the story forward. Almost off-stage national and international events are taking place. But events aren't just give context and color. As I write, I am trying to work out how they connect to the story. I am telling and why I've picked these particular fragments to drop in. They have to earn their place as shadows to my story, even though they are these huge and moments-world events that change things for millions of people. I need to make them pay off as motives in the particular story I'm telling, and I hope that in return it will give some actual resonance to the story. I work how these things fit together as I go along. I don't know, and I don't know in advance. So again, facts and fiction. As we said, yes, we have to keep the facts. We keep the facts, not that, because again, it's still non-fiction. What you can do is be creative about it, the way you approach that non-fiction story, but still place the facts. And if I understood correctly in this situation, she just this has this story because it's a true ghost story, but she is apparently painting a silly story about a poltergeist and a woman in Croydon in the 1930s and essentially ghost hunter. So this is interesting because the facts are going to still be there in the Croydon in 1930s, so that facts has to be there, has to be factual. So for example, it could be, I don't know, the atmosphere of their time, it could be the philosophy, it could be the culture, it could be the politics as well, it could be also the fashion, all the houses. And I imagine if because this is a ghost story, it has to be the house. The house is going to be, in a sense, I put this in the protagonist, right? The house is going to tell us how things were like, how this ghost hunter found this poltergeist, for example, and how their interaction was. I don't know if this is in the book or not, keeping this in mind. I'm just trying to imagine, correct? So you can do this as well in your book. You can say, okay, I want to write the politics of nowadays in UK, for example. Yes, you can write that, but how can you be more creative about it as well? How will you approach that, for example? This is another way. You see, you can have a politician, whatever it is, it's up to you, and then you can have somebody. I don't know. It could be a nurse. It can be even a farmer. It can be a student, and they have this interesting interaction with each other. It could be. So the most important part is the faction versus fiction. Is I think what Kate Summerscale does is she finds balance between the two. So she wants to keep the facts, and also be creative in the other side as well, because this allows her to not just stay strict to the to the rigid formula or non-fiction, but allows her, on the other hand, to say, oh, I can do this, I'm going to do it, yes. And of course, this is more likely to do if you know the rules at front, if you know what you can do or not. So you learn first the rules, and then you can start to break and then start to do your own thing, for example. So the next fifth aspect they say is to develop an editor's eye. So in the interline, editor Fred Dean says, Try to have a fallow period between writing projects when you read intensively and think hard about what you are reading. The keystone of most non-fiction creative writing courses is exactly this: reading great writers to understand why their writing shines, which then helps you to develop a critical editorial lens that you can apply to your own work. As far as non-fiction titans go, John Dickton's essays and those by Gail Tellis are a great place to start. Take one short passage and really dissect it right down to the last full stop. So, what it means is, for example, you have, I don't know, somebody that you love and you enjoy to read about, another author from your own, let's say, your own non-fiction. You can start to do that subconsciously, like editing. Of course, you don't want to edit the work. Mind you, all the work is already out. Somebody, saw it. But these two to also to help you on your own work. If this message, this is like an exercise, if you like. So you're not correcting the other people's work. You're just exercising your own brain. So say, okay, if I was here, I probably will change this, or perhaps this part will be a little more in the comical side. I don't know, something of this. And then when you return to your work, because you have this mentality already in editing, and we know that after we finish our work, I am on my editing phase, for example, and it's been in a journey because some stuff I want to change, and I will change. And now to make it interesting, as to see a lot, over and over and over. Of course, the editing stops when you feel that you are satisfied. And yes, you're going to be satisfied at some point. Because I want to remind you again, perfection doesn't exist. It will never exist. What exists is a good memoir, biography, non-fiction, creative non-fiction story that is out there that you want to share to the others. That's what exists. And for that to happen, you have to have this editorial eye for your own work as well. Because if you can see other people's work, it's going to help you with yours as well. I know sometimes it's very difficult for us to say, oh, I don't want to change this part because it's missed too much. I like it. But sometimes it's the best, And I am still guilty on that as well. But yeah. Have the editor eye on you. And learn from others as well. Learn how to edit your own work. See how you can improve your own work. Of course, this you have to read a lot of your genre. So, and this will help you. And what it says here, developing your own eyes, according to Frieden, is true. Once you read a lot, you'll find yourself almost like editing some parts. And think about what could be done as well. Just an exercise. You're not going to, I'm going to say this again, you are not here to change other people's work. That's not how you do. You don't. Because it's already out there. It's done. This is more for you to have an editor eye for yourself. And the way of a practice. And once you say, okay, this I can see how this could be done, you come back to yours and then you edit your own work the same way that you will do with the others, and not putting the same example here that the Frieden said. If you have, for example, a writer's let's say group, you do this a lot with the others. Sometimes other authors also ask for feedback. On this feedback, you are editing their work. You do exactly the same this. You're saying what works, what doesn't work. This is editing. Of course, it's called feedback, but you are editing as well at the same time. You're selling, look, this part doesn't work well, so this could work well if you add this, or you could change this part to make more realistic, or to, I don't know, whatever might be the thing that you thought would work better for somebody's work. This helps you as well. And with time, you're going to find yourself to edit your stuff. I find myself doing that for my own stuff as well when I'm working. I do really do fine, and I think it's very very good. So now, the 16th aspect is to share your work. Freya says, take every opportunity to have your non-fiction critical and constructive workshopped. Even more than a way to gain feedback, structured discussion is invaluable to perspective it brings when you're working with material drawn from your own life. It helps build that sense of remove of feeling that you have written exists as something in its own right, distinct from yourself and your inner world. This in turn helps you to better craft and evaluate the work as you are writing. So again, share your work is to encourage you, again comes back to editor's eyes as well. Share your work, let other people give feedback. And yes, sometimes other feedbacks are crappy, and they don't know how to respond that because perhaps they lacked that editor's eye. And sometimes the way people say is excuse me, very awful. It is. You're gonna find awful people, unfortunately. Even in writing books and in the writing communities, I say. But you are putting yourself out there. You are being vulnerable. So, if you think that even somebody's been crappy, you can find something that's said that is, it can be true. Take that advice. Or if you find that saying nothing that's just not interesting and you think it's just being not good, you can just pass. Again, this kind of reminds me of my interview of Julie. We discussed this as well. Okay, some people are going to say, oh, it sucks. Okay, but why? Why it sucks? Why my writing sucks, or what is a bad writing? People have to explain why is bad writing. Once they explain why is a bad writing part of your work, you then can see, I agree or not. Because at the end of the day, it's up to you. But the thing is, you have to share your work. You cannot think that your work is perfect, because somebody else is going to read it. And if they really know the genre, they're going to point it out, what it works, what it doesn't, and what it done right and wrong. So it's always good, even if you have people that are a bit crappy, it's always good to share. It's always good to look for feedback. Always non-stop to share your work. And the last aspect, the 17th, as I say, is shelve it. Freya says, so many successful writers I know consider this an essential part of the creating process. Whenever they have reached a point where they are stuck with a manuscript or are reasonably happy that they have nailed it, they print a hard copy and put it away in a drawer, and then they don't look at it for several weeks. This is helpful for all writing, no matter your subject, but it's especially helpful for all now when you are writing anything that draws heavily on your own experience. When you take the text out again and read it with fresh, I'm gonna really say this is gonna be fresh. Fresh eyes. You will instantly see the flaws in writing, whatever great or hopefully small. So shelve it is in a sense that you put your book in your shelf, you do not touch it for several weeks. It can be months, whatever is up to you, weeks or months. When you return with fresh eyes, you're gonna say, aha, I could have done this better, couldn't I? This part here and there, this part of my life when I failed here and there, or perhaps I could expand a little bit more about how I was successful in this part of my life. Successful, or actually I failed, or whatever it is. The fact is, you just need time. I think it's for process, because think about this, right? You have written a book for many, many years now, non-stop. You just feel this creative drive. At a certain point, your mind is gonna say, "Hey, we need to rest. We need to pause right now because this is getting a little bit, we're We're getting not great, so just need to pause. And this is the moment when you do not see your work for some time. You come up and you're gonna see, because you're gonna see your work as somebody else, as a reader. If you think about it, this is like seeing your book, your own book as a reader. And then you start to edit it more. But of course, the editing has no ending, I imagine. This editing phase, there's no end. Because you have to be satisfied at the end of the day. We have to be satisfied at some point. Right? But here what the encouragement is just because it touches on your own life. Right? It has the thing of touching on your own life. And you have to... It's something that is very personal. You're being very brave about it. Think about this, you're being very, very brave. So it's not somebody else that can say, oh yes, I can write about my drug addiction. No. Some people feel very uncomfortable about it. But if you feel comfortable, share your experiences and to make people be seen, that's even great. But maybe when you come back to your work, you see, yeah, this was a good story I told, but perhaps this part, I don't know. Should I have expanded more about my, I don't know, when I was a teenager or when I was a grown-up adult? I don't know. You see, it's more like for you, it feels like a revise, but it's for you to see your own work, in a sense. And this is the 17 aspects that, let's come back here to that's it. So the notes, so it is, according to the National Center for Writing, the 7 tips for writing creative nonfiction are: know yourself. Are you a nonfiction writer? Be brave. Research and organize. Family tree. Resources. Primary research and secondary research. Get help. Write to know. Take notes. Get inspired. Research for the truth. Whose story is for it? Don't forget to read. Go off track. Build a roadmap. Structure one size doesn't fit all. Write a novelist kit. Facts versus fiction. Develop an editor's eye. Share your work. And then finally, shelve it. And there you have it. The 70 tips to write a creative non-fiction. I'm going to say it again. The source I found this, it is from the National Center for Writing, .org.uk, and says Writing Hub, 17 tips for writing creative non-fiction. So, this is the website. If you want to come back and read it again for yourself, and want to help you with your own work with creative non-fiction, you can do that. We'll continue, but not right now, with the other part of the non-fiction, and this one, many people will know about it, but we're going to just learn a little bit. So, before that, we are going to listen to our third Gothic song from this. Well, this is actually not it is more a Gothic song, but not a Gothic band, but I think should be interesting to listen to. And perhaps many of you know this. So it is from Gerald McMahon. And this is called Cry Little Sister. And this is a theme from The Lost Boys. So Gerald Thomas McCann, also known as Gerald McMahon, and J. Tom Mack, is an English singer, a songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and producer who specializes in creating music for films and TV. His gothic rock anthem, Cry Little Sister, was recorded in 1997 for the soundtrack album of the cult horror film The Lost Boys. So, I thought this would be interesting to share, and perhaps some of you guys know. So let's listen from Gerald McMahon, Cry Little Sister. Well, maybe some of you feel nostalgic with this, some of you have heard it for the first time. This was Gerald Mackman, Cry Little Sister, from the theme of the horror film Lost Boys. Well, I hope you guys really enjoyed it and probably feel nostalgic, some of you. And I'm going to also share my next metal band from this week. And we're going to travel to Japan. And this one is a very interesting one. It's called Crystal Lake Disobey. So this is a Japanese metalcore band from the Tokyo, formed in 2002. According to the source of the website music.com.au, which is from Australia, it says, this is about the social unrest, resistance of authority, and biting the hand that feeds. It's a sporadic hardcore track, one that changes rhymes and tempos frequently, like an chaotic core protest. So, this is actually about a music that actually encourages you to question the authority and encourages you to question, in a sense. So, it's going to be involved as well the F word, so keep that in mind. They're going to swear, so keep that in mind. So, this is Crystal Lake Disobey. there you have it. Crystal Lake. Disobey. I was just watching here their video clip, and the last image, it's really fascinating. This is really so surreal. So we have this guy that has these hands like a very authoritative figure, but then he has this very silver aura on his back. The background is just black. It's not if it's actually really white. He's dressed all these very white, probably open kimono, if I have to really guess, because they're Japanese. And then he has these very mechanical hands that they are all typing chains. So it's really so fascinating, this, and they decided to put here on their video, in the video clip I just wanted to share. So yeah, this was for guys who are just listening now. Crystal Lake, this is a Japanese metalcore band. So now we just learned minutes before the two songs, the 17 tips to write a creative non-fiction. Now we're going to continue in the non-fiction genre, and this is the poetry genre. So yes, for those who are familiar with poems, this should be very interesting, and for those who are not, we're going just to learn. Of course, I try my best to find good examples and the resources possible, because again, poetry is not my genre that I write and I am familiar with. Though I have, I think, two poem books in my bookshelf. It's like, as you can see, this was not my genre, but there you have it. So let's see. So, from reference to the structure and rhyme of the poem, haiku, sonnet, and free verse, and describe poetic forms. Genre, as they have discussed, indicates style, tone, and content. We just touch on some of the most. Let's start with the most popular ones of the poetry genres. So, epic poetry. Epic poetry tells a long story about the big adventure and feats of heroism. It typically centers on one protagonist. Examples of this will be Beowulf, Paradise Lost, and Epic of Gilgamesh. Then, this is very explanatory, right? I don't need to explain in great detail what this is, right? It's epic poetry. Think about the word epic, what it feels like epic, in big scale, no? Right? In the sense of, I'm gonna be this very superhero, they're going to save everybody, the kind of feeling of epicness. Light verse. This is the most playful of the poetic genres. Light verse can take the form of folk songs, nonsensical poems, and jokes as a poetry. Examples: Macavity, The Mystery of Cat by Thomas Stearns Eliot. I've Gotten an Apple Ready by John Walsh. Was an Apple Pie by somebody else, which is anonymous. And these sources of poems I got was from the Poem Analysis website. So you can find some of those if you want to read it for yourself as well. And the narrative poetry. So, the narrative poetry tells a story. They include at least one character, a setting, conflict, and a beginning, middle, and end. Epic poetry falls under this umbrella, though not all narrative poems have to be quieted lengthy and grand. So, for example, The Spider and the Fly by Mary Homitz, The Ballad of the Harp Weaver by Edna St. Vincent Millay, The Listeners by Walter de la Mare. The source I came from these poems are Family Friend Poems websites. And then we have the haiku. So haiku is a form of traditional Japanese poetry, renowned for its simple yet hard-hitting style. They often take inspiration from nature and capture brief moments in time via effective imagery. Examples are In the Moonlight by Yosa Bosson, The Taste of Rain by Jack Kerouac, Cherry Blossoms by by Kobayashi Isa. These resources are on the redsea.com website if you want to read. Now probably we start with the ones that probably people are familiar with. Sonnets. I think I'm pronouncing it a little bit too weird, maybe, but there you are. So, a 14-line poem with a verbal rhyme scheme. Literally a little song. The sonnet traditionally reflects upon a single sentiment, with a clarification or turn of thought in its concluding lines. There are different types of sonnets, such as the Patron sonnet, perfect by the Italian poet Petrarch, divides the 14 lines into two sections: an 8-line stanza, octave, rhyming, A B B A B B B A, and a 6-line stanza, sextet, rhyming. The coda sonnet, which adds codas or trials to the 14-line poem. The chorus sonnet, a shortened version devised by Gerald Manley Hopkins that maintains the proportions of the Italian form, substituting 2 6 stresses for 2 quadrants in the octave, rhyming ABC, ABC, and 4.5 lines for the sextet, rhyming DA, DA. Also, 6 stresses except for the final stress line. Another one is the sonnet Rodable, also known as the crown of sonnets. It's composed of 15 sonnets that are linked by the repetition of the final line of the sonnet as the initial line of the previous. No, it's not. The final. No, I'm sorry. Sonnet at the final line of the previous and the. Oh yes. Yeah. As I said, I'm very sleepy tonight. So the last sonnet consists of all repeated lines of the previous 14 sonnets, and the same order in which they appeared. So this is at least. So remember the Petrarch sonnet, the coda sonnet, the chord sonnet, and the sonnet Rodable, also known as the crown sonnet. So this is the 3 that are connected with the sonnet, at least the subversions of that. And then you've got a sonnet sequence, a group of sonnets sharing the same subject matter and sometimes a dramatic situation and persona. The Spenserian sonnet. It is a 14-line poem developed by Edmund Spenser in his Amoretti, that varies in English from by interlocking the 3 quatrains A B A B, B C B C, C D C D, E E. The stretch sonnet is extended to 16 or more lines. A submersed sonnet is stacked into a longer poetic work. The examples of these are How Do I Love Thee by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, That Nature is an Heraclean Fire by Gerard Manley Hopkins, When I Consider How My Life is Spent by John Milton. And the source from these ones, if you want to see the source of this explanation, is poetryfoundation.org. And with this, I think it's a very good moment to pause a little bit, even of our of the poets. When I see the poets here, I think it's not going to be too long, but I think it should be interesting also to learn a little bit. We're going now, yes, we're going back to our Gothic bands for this week, and this is a new one which I discovered. It is Incubus Succubus. So, like of the two, it's Paint in the Black. So this is a English goth and pagan rock band formed in 1988. So they're already really old, but I think they're still rock. So let's listen. Incubus Succubus, Painted in Black. Well, I've got some news about this song I didn't knew. I wish I've seen this early, but apparently this song is also a Rolling Stones cover, so there you have it. The Incubus and Succubus, Painted in Black, decided to do this cover from the Rolling Stones. So there you go. I think it's a very good cover. Sometimes covers can be a little bit of a blah, but I think it's a very good one. It's on the gothic also style, and I think on the vibe. So I think it's pretty cool. So there you have it. I hope you guys really enjoyed. So we started to see now, and we'll actually come to a very end very soon, about the poetry genres, which is epic poetry, light verse, the ode, the narrative poetry, the waiko, and we stop all the sonnets. So we saw that they have a lot of subgenres: the Petrarchan sonnet, the Condate sonnet, the Quartal sonnet, the sonnet redoublé, also known as the crown sonnet, the sonnet sequence, and the Space sonnet, stretch sonnet, and submerged sonnet. Well, a lot of sonnets in the subgenres. And now we're going to see our, I think, final one, which is the free verse, and also known as non-metrical. Non-rhyming lines that closely follow the natural rhymes of speech. A regular pattern of sound or rhyme may emerge in free verse lines, but the poet does not adhere to a metrical plan to their composition. Matthew Arnold and Walt Whitman explored the possibilities of non-metrical poetry in the 19th century. Since the early 20th century, the majority of published lyric poetry has been writing in the free verse. Examples: Do Red, Borrow by William Carlos Williams, and also The Cantos by Ezra Pound, Garden by Hilda, oh my gosh, Dolittle. This also is from the source of poetryfoundation.org. And by poets, that's pretty much. And I think we finished about the non-fiction parts of the books. And now, I think I'm going to leave the other part, which is drama genres. Actually, I do check about this, yes. The drama genres, yes. Because this part of still non-fiction, yes. I'm sorry, I still have things to do. It's just me now, having a little bit. So dramatic literature includes anything written to be performed, like plays, screenplays, film, and teleplays, television. The tragedy. The tragedy is never end well, especially not for the protagonist. Often it is the protagonist's fatal flaw that ruins everything. Comedy. Comedies contain comedic elements. Well, naturally, of course, it's called comedy for a reason. A comedy might use biting satire to comment on serious topics, light-hearted humor to delight an audience, or to go over the top and absurd characters and situations, like in a farce. Melodrama. Melodramas blow things out of proportion. A melodrama will feature a sensational plot, exaggerated characters, and extreme emotions. And finally, historical drama. As you probably guessed, historical dramas recount historical events. How closely they stick to the fact is up to the writer, but you can assume there's at least some fictionalizing. And in terms on non-fiction, this is pretty much it. We have covered a lot on this show. And I can't believe in the next week is going to be my 60 show. Wow, it's so much shows. I really sometimes wonder how I've been going this far. Honestly, when I started this, it was an happy accident actually. So, but I'm very happy that this happy accident just came on to this. And also Dreamcatcher is also giving me a platform, also giving me a voice as well. For someone so quiet as I am, I can just literally just talking about this stuff to the people just listening to me, and also like literature like me as well. So I'm hoping you've learned something on non-fiction sides, and you can apply to yourself, and you can go out and also do some extra research. I really wish you the best of luck with that, and I'm hoping all the sources I have also implement here, and I'm going to do the main source I have been also talking about it as well, and keep you guys listening as well, so you guys really know where to go, and also just to revise again also some stuff. This, of course, in terms of the fictional part, etc., etc. So there you have it. It's just missing some couple of minutes now, but I think I could just keep talking for just a little bit. So yeah, it's been quite this I don't know, this heat wave in England is being so awful to try to endure. I don't know how you guys are doing it. It's been like really a nightmare, because I was actually doing my university projects, and I was really struggling to do in my own home, so I have to find to be with Bradley, so to speak, and with them, and so because they also have a little bit of better air, but yeah. But yeah, I really hope that soon it's gonna cool it a little bit. I think this week is gonna be hot again, very extreme hot again. Because yes, if you ask how it's been in Portugal, I want to say, yeah, it's been hot as well, according to my mom and some of my family members as well. It's been hot, and people are struggling as well because it's too hot as well. But people are prepared, and I know here the structure is very different from the houses, and some people don't even have access to air conditioning or even a fan. And yes, I literally have a fan pointing out against me when I am talking in the show. So, just to think that not everybody has the same privilege, let's say, as me. And some people listening, probably, I don't know. Can you imagine how hard it is for these people to struggle with the heat, and of many already animals are struggling with the this is all environment stuff. This is people. I want to deny the environment is happening, but it's happening. I think we need to start to protect our planet, to protect all the animals that we live in existing together. We need to start to plant more trees in the cities and allow the trees to help us breathe the air. We need to start to be more friendly with plants and to respect the cycles of nature. Because I really think that nature is our best friend. Definitely our best friend. And if we destroy it, nature is going to destroy us all. And it's going to definitely, if already it's not happening already with this very high heat waves already in England and around the world as well. It's actually seen, as I said, in Portugal people are struggling as well. But speaking now in England, because I'm living in England, yeah, and people, I just cannot imagine for the elderly people and children, which are most the vulnerable ones of the society. I don't know how they cope. They must not, and we need to definitely look after them. We need to be very kind and compassionate to them. What do we approach them? They definitely need our help, and they definitely need to be looked after. We don't need our government to say this. We can act to this, because it is inside us. I want to believe it's inside of us that we care. And while the wave can be good to go to the beach and go to the sun, etc. Yeah, it is as that, but also for those out there who are in the beaches, congratulations, brilliant, go have fun, but also be careful with how much sun you also catch on in your skin. Because yes, we have the sun, which is our best free D vitamin for us, which is the best. It is for free, actually, for free. So, but also we have to be very careful. Again, we have to respect nature, because nature is our best friend. And also I was just having this moment because, well, I could talk about the diversity of genre, but I think I'm going to leave that for another time, or probably next week. I'm not even sure next week is going to be, because I think I need to go back and have my TikTok account just to announce my stuff. so people can be more aware what to expect of my things and what I'm gonna do. But I know, I think my brain it just says, now it's time for you to be more concentrated, on the university things. So do that, Andreia, instead. Forget about TikTok for now, because yes, I've been very busy with my university stuff, etc. Also the work as well. So it's been, but I try always to find time to put stuff on the show and also interview other people. As I said in the beginning of the show, I really was enjoying interviewing people even more, actually, because I think it's very important for those who are listening and for me as well. How these people, come up with ideas of their books and how they come up with the titles themselves. I mean, the title from Julie was absolutely very, very comical, but if you think about it in terms of retail, it's very realistic as well. How many, situations people who are listening right now and work in retail have you had to endure? Because it's hard work. I mean, it's hard work. And and imagine people also try to steal, and to be vigilant. And it's not even in your contract as well to do that. Keep that in mind as well, because I know it's not. And you have to do it extra, and the companies don't pay you well, because they should pay it very, very well people who are in the front of a store, because without that communication, without that physical touch on humanity as well, to interact with each other, because we need that communication, we're going to lose a lot. But hopefully this never goes away. It's just they need to be better paid. Those who work in jobs or even other things below CEOs need to be better paid, I'm trying to say. Because definitely they need. Because it's always exhausting. People always offer themselves to do extra and cover other people when need. So I know what it feels like. I know. And sometimes it is never paid off. Because what the company is going to offer you? A pen as a reward? A mug as a reward, a coffee mug as a reward. Come on. People are already working hard, This is my opinion, because I've been there. So it's, or even saying in the newspaper, oh, did this person have this and that. It's good, but I know people need more. That's not going to be enough at the end of the day. People need to pay their bills. People need to pay their food. People need to prepare the food. People need to do a lot more than that. Yeah, they understand. And yeah, this conversation is being quite off writing just for the moment. I think just to have a conversation, just relative with writing as well, for me, just to also rest a little bit, because I noticed I was a little bit, non-pun intended, but out of my mind, in a sense, just drifting away as well. I was not concentrated. So, and yes, because of this heat wave, I have weeks I haven't slept well, so it's been trying to come back to my really rigid routine and stuff, and it's been it's been days, bad days. But I'm counting here the minutes so I can play our last metal band. Most of you are going to recognize. Most of the people living in UK are going to recognize this band. They sweat as well, but I think it feels as well. Speaking of retail and low jobs, that title is just pretty fitting, actually. Pretty fitting. You're gonna see why today. And I think I just want to let's just listen now. Let's listen now. This is what I'm gonna say. So yeah, let's listen our last metal band called Employed to Serve. See how fitting in a sense is. So, Employed to Serve, Forced to Feed. This is a UK metalcore band formed in 2011. I think this song is about people trying to force their opinions on you. I think it's mostly about that. Trying to feed you with their opinions, and you have your own, but you really can't express it, or you probably are not allowed. It's mostly something running on this. So Keep in mind they're going to sweat as well, so keep that in mind for those who are listening. So let's listen. Employ to serve, force feed. There you have it. Employed to serve. Force feed. It was their music. And yes, the show is coming almost to an end. I just have some minutes left to talk a little bit more. I don't know what for, to be honest, but let's just try to, I don't know, think about, because I was just having here Rosie. He lives here with me now in my house. Is he looking? He's very smart. The cat, if you guys know, he is on the tiles, so it must be very, very fresh. And keep in mind, this is a cat with a long fur. So bless him to feel all this heat. I imagine is very unbearable. Bless him. to being the tiles, to being a little bit fresh and cool. Actually, the word is cooler, and the thing about it is cooler. So imagine, even for the cats of your house, I imagine they also feel this very strong heat. I can imagine even for the dogs. They pant heavily, they difficult to breathe. It's just going to be... Also, the animals are suffering as well. It's not just humans, it's everybody suffering. But it's because we're not respecting, again, nature. We have to start to respect nature very, very heavily. Start to really take it very, very seriously. But besides that, I'm really hoping everybody's having a good time. I'm hoping that you guys are cooler, hope you guys are safe, and please be safe out there. Just look after each other. Don't be hateful, etc. Just look after each other. We need each other. At this time of the year, we need each other. And I want to say thank you, everybody, so much for listening to me, even for me for rumbling this time. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. Probably interview. I'll continue...